Hello all of my lawyers over there on the other side of the screen. Today I'm going to tell you pretty straight that I would never become a lawyer in my life. Because for the fact that laws go through walls, but the truth stays inside and respects your freedom to be wild. So let's talk about those laws that go through walls. Let's make a hugely insane plan. Let's make and build a building that is a lawless building. And inside of this building you can break every law on planet Earth. You can break all the laws. You can murder people in this building. You can take drugs. You can have all kinds of sex that is prohibited, You can do everything in this building. You can break all the fucking laws in this building, But when you step outside, none of that will matter, Because the law won't pierce through these walls. The law can't get inside in any way. It's so well protected from the law, What does the law do when there's a lawbreaker, Well, it jackhammers through your wall or your door, Like the SWAT team will come inside, They have the authority to get inside, even buildings. They suspect that this person has drugs, a lot of them in the building. They do a search. They need a permit for that, but they can do that even in Finland, or illegal weapons. Or, that kind of stuff. But the law actually goes through the walls to prohibit those drugs in the first place. There shouldn't be prohibited drugs in the building. And there shouldn't be murder committed in the building. So the law is the law of the land, It's the law of the whole country. And that law cannot be kind of escaped. And the law applies also in prisons, So walls can't do anything can't do anything against laws. So law has the law is more powerful and it's an unnatural force, actually, the law, because the wind, it can't get through walls, or the rain can't get through the roof if the roof is fine, but the law can get through the walls, It's everywhere, the law is everywhere. But where is it actually? It's nowhere. It's actually constantly the law actually constantly has to be rebuilt, It has to be enforced. It's the same kind of thing as when you kind of start to just live. There's, this thing called chaos. Or have you noticed that if you have a lot of plates and you don't do your dishes, they go all haywire, if you made a law that prohibited, having a lot of, unclean dish in your, this sink, for example, then could that law be enforced? It would have to enforced all the time, and that requires work. So law also creates work out of thin air. Some laws are kind of, you can say that they are kind of, it's pretty nice that they exist, that they protect you, But they can protect you from everything except the law itself, When the law is kind of against you, actually, then it's no longer protecting you, it's against you. This law is not on my side, And laws are exactly like little children playing on the sandbox, and somebody starts to boss other people around. You might not do that. If you do that in this sandbox, you're gonna get kicked out, or we're gonna enjail you in this sandbox. We're gonna build a little jail over here, put you there. Yeah, that's fine. Lately, I have been reading about lawbreakers a lot, like the mafia. Um, those guys, they broke the law with style, you know. They broke the law in very like much different way than, you know, a Finnish dude that goes into a fucking kiosk with like a gun and you know steals a couple of $100 or euros actually for drugs. You know, American crime, I don't know why, but it used to be so much more style. You know, the robberies of like 20s, you know, they were insanely cool. You know, like bank robberies. You know, like do you know about John Dillinger and Machine Gun Kelly and you know these guys? You know, like these guys have fucking style. You know, when they went into a fucking bank, they did like it was a professional act to do it. You know, they were good guys at doing it. They weren't good guys, you know. And then there was some, you know, detectives and this kind of stuff, and that got onto them and police, and you know, it was crazy times. Like read about it, you know. I'm gonna review those books at some point, but like there was no walls that could protect them from the laws when they had broken them, you know. So maybe you could think about laws as imaginary walls that kind of protect you, but in a situation of real desperation, they can do nothing for you to protect you. In that situation, for example, from the cold and the wind and that kind of stuff. So when in that situation that you are really desperate, you start breaking the law, then you are actually seeking that which the law can still anyway get through the wall, you know. Okay, I'm sitting over here in this room and it's very cold outside, you know, like in Finlandia right now. It's very cold. And if I would be a guy like out there, you know, without a home, which is possible that I might be at some point in this life, and I got an offer that if you break this law for us, you know, if you do this gig, or maybe if I could even, you know, throw that suggestion for somebody that could you break this law, and could we like get away with it, and could we kind of could we kind of get with this, could we like, you know, get by and maybe even thrive? And you would say yes, you know, of course you would do it. Then we are not anymore protected by the law, but we are still living in the same kind of universe. Breaking the law doesn't actually change the laws of nature at all, you know. Breaking the law doesn't change gravity, or it might, you know. Actually, some drugs are prohibited just because they make you realize. Don't like think that I'm endorsing these drugs on you, but some drugs are prohibited actually because they make you realize that these laws of nature are actually also just laws. So they made the law to prohibit something like LSD, and of course these drugs have dangers in them. I'm not saying that, but they also make you realize that gravity, for example, is a very, you know, a law type of thing, that it can be broken, you know, gravity. You know, it's not an absolute law. It can be broken, you know. And these drugs, they make you realize that. So they have kind of, you know, in themselves double laws, you know. Don't break this law because you might become conscious that this actually is not an absolute law. It can be it can be bent, and there's a dimension out there where this law doesn't exist. So, for example, when somebody commits a murder, and the person that commits the murder, that guy breaks the law big time. We are not talking about taking LSD over here. That's a small minor crime, you know. It's a small thing. committing a murder is a very bad crime in the system. It's deemed very bad. And I think I agree that it's very bad. You know, you shouldn't murder. But if you murder, then you know that the person that you murder is no longer in the realm of the law. That you are killing a being that is protected by the law, and that being will go somewhere where the law doesn't exist. And then the law system might kind of punish you, and they might limit your freedom because they deem you kind of like dangerous. And it's understandable that the law system kind of does this, but they miss the point that the being that was murdered actually became more free, you know. And I believe that this kind of notion has, like Finnish people, for example, would have, like when they would look at something like the stuff happening in the 1920s America with the organized mafia, they would look at it and go that's like craziness and Wild West style. But I'm gonna say that no, actually, like it's more like the jihad. It's very much like the jihad, actually. Their thinking about life was very much the same. They were hard times, of course, but their thinking about like what life was the same. You know, what do Muslims do when they like kill each other? When they know and they kind of they look at the bullet and they go like, this will send that person to the paradise, you know. They look at themselves as saints carrying weapons that, you know, they are angels, you know, or hell's angels. They look at this world like that they are good, you know. Of course, they might be deluding themselves. Maybe after death, you know, the person that got murdered actually went to a really bad destination, but I doubt that, you know. I believe that if you get murdered by some way in this life, you actually will be better off than like living. But that's just my notion. You shouldn't murder because of that, of course. No way. But if you do like get murdered, then realize at that point when you're dead that you are more free probably than ever any being that wasn't murdered, you know. So it's a kind of like, you go up, I go down a lot, you know. Like you go up there, I go down there, you know. Like you know, remember as a child you had that, you know, like where you played around with this thing and you kind of kick with your feet up and up. When you went up, you know, the other guy went down, and when you went down, the other guy went up. Murder is like that, you know. Murder is exactly like that. And when you murder, you go down like a lot. But when you are like this, yeah, you have to understand this. Well, what about then like other type of crimes? Well, really, this video wasn't about murder, but it was more about the laws they go through walls. You know, there's no wall that can protect you from the law. But if you had enough power, you could build this. You know, you could build. If you had enough power, you could build a building, or you could even make a nation where murder was not, you know, was in the law, you know. You could make this kind of a nation, or whatever it might be, if you had enough power, but you don't, you know, you don't have that kind of power. And that's why the law always wants more power, because it wants to enforce itself. And of course, it might make your life a huge misery at the process, you know, like, you know, prohibit everything that you want to do in your life, like everything. And, well, yeah, they might make your life a huge misery, but then again, those people might thrive, you know, the lawyers or the police and that kind of stuff. Are they here for you? Well, it's questionable. In a very severe situation, they might be, you know. But in very many ways, you have more. There's so much responsibility placed on your shoulders over here that you shouldn't like think that the law is here for you, because it's not, probably. So you can be a lawful citizen, or you can break the law all you want. I'm not here to tell you not to break the law, or like to enforce the law, or even care about the law. I'm not here to tell you anything about the law, but just realize that when you commit a crime and you think that there's something that can protect you from it becoming known, understand that they always want for that not to happen. They always want to find if there happened a crime. Or is that even true? Well, you can ask about that. Thanks for watching. The law goes through your walls.